Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. Today we'll be reviewing the Figma Link Tears of the Kingdom version DX. Now, I don't look at Figmas that often. In fact, I dropped Figma as a line a few years ago just because the quality control was all over the place, the costs were going up, and the quality of the figures just in general weren't that great. That was like things like accessories, design, posability just wasn't really hitting the benchmark that I wanted. I'd get a couple here or there, especially the Nintendo ones, like the Metroid Dread Samus and the Emmy, but for the most part I dropped the line entirely, and I've heard a lot of messy things about the line since, but for the most part they have been improving just a little bit, but I'm still very selective about what I get. So once again, I'm here with a Nintendo property, which is the Tears of the Kingdom Link, and this is the DX version, which has way more accessories, and should be a really good figure. Alright, so DX Figmas usually come in this slipcase so they look special, and even just some Figmas do anyway, like the Samus. But anyway, you take it off the slipcase and there is a more traditional Figma box showing the figure as well as all of the accessories that he comes with. The base version of this Link is pretty much the front clamshell, I'm pretty sure, and then the back clamshell with all the Zonai accessories and stuff that is, I think, only in the deluxe edition. But we're here for the figure itself, so taken out of the box, here's what Link comes with, and it's quite a lot. So we get the figure itself, 3 faces, the Hylian shield, the Master Sword, the Master Sword's sheath, an arrow, an ancient bow, I think it's an ancient bow, an alternate arm for Link that's torn up, a hood and cape, as well as attachments to place the shield or the bow on his back. On the other side, we also get a club of a stick and a rock fused together, a glider, a shield, a Zonai rocket, the sort of tunneling power, I forgot what it was called, as well as an effect part for the rocket. So it's a pretty cool loadout of accessories. You also get a bunch of hands and a stand, and a really extensive instruction manual that shows basically everything you need except specifically how to swap faces, which is kind of funny. Or at least I didn't see it in the instructions, but it is fairly straightforward. But yeah, the point is it's a really accessorized figure. But taken out of the box and put on a display here is Link, and he's looking quite good. One of the main things that Figma excels in is paint, because they paint pretty much the entire figure from top to bottom. It's something SH Figuarts don't really do, and it's sort of what keeps their costs down for the most part, because Figmas are quite expensive these days, and some Figuarts are as well. But this is painted all over, all of the details are very good, and the paint is pretty good, but after playing with this figure entirely, like for the entirety of this review, and posing him in all number of ways with all different accessories, the paint has started to chip on his shoulder pad, which kind of sucks. Like, you'd think the paint would be more durable than that, especially since I was just lightly moving it around, and the shoulder pad doesn't get in the way of anything, so I don't know. But so far all the other paint is good. I'm just kind of wary of touching it now, or just really dealing with anything for the figure, so that kind of sucks. But we'll do a quick size comparison. So here he is next to the Twilight Princess Link, and he does look quite a bit bigger, and he is actually quite a bit bigger. The scaling for Figma seems to have changed. They used to be like 1/12 scale, I don't know what they are now, and you can tell by the sort of stature of this Link, even though the Twilight Princess one is in a pose. If you compare the Master Swords to each other, one is noticeably bigger than the other. Here he is against the Skyward Sword Link, again quite tall, as well as the Link Between Worlds Link. So it's interesting, it seems like Figma have changed their scale, which kind of sucks for like the general line, because everything used to be in scale with each other, and like if you have from here on out the scaling being different, and hopefully this isn't just an outlier, it'll look weird. If you just have this one with the other Zelda figures, it'll look weird, so I don't know what to make of it. But we'll get right into posability. So he's got a ball joint at the neck and head, which allows for a pretty good amount of motion. The ponytail can move up and down, and his bangs on the sides of his head, or like the sideburn bangs, are a flexible plastic as well. His shoulder pad is flexible too. His arm can rotate around that far. There is a swivel at the upper arm, but it is incredibly tight on both arms, and I thought I was going to break the figure multiple times. There is a hinge at the wrist, and that is also very tight and hard to deal with. He also has a butterfly joint in the shoulders, and it's pretty bad. I don't know if it's stuck as well, because I couldn't achieve some of the promo images, and you clearly needed to activate the butterfly for it, and I just really didn't like it. He's also got a ball joint in the chest, which allows for some pretty good crunching and arcing. He has a peg in his waist, which is way too loose, and this is for one of his other accessories, and it just pops off constantly and is a pain to deal with. The skirt is somewhat soft, so it allows him to kick forward and back that far, which could be better, and I didn't want to flex too many things because it would just pop off his body again. You can do the splits that far, you can swivel at the upper thigh, bend at the knee, and pivot and bend at the ankle and toe. And that's pretty much it. Everything else is just sort of like a soft plastic accessory on him, so it sort of flexes and bends out of the way, which is fine. I do kind of wish you could remove some of the accessories on him without sort of breaking the design of the figure, just because some parts get in the way of others, and it was kind of annoying to deal with. Link comes with 3 faces, so he's got a neutral face out of the box, a smiling face, and an angry shouting face, which is pretty alright, but I couldn't really think of anything to use the smiling face for, so I pretty much just used the neutral and shouting face for this whole thing. All of the swappable parts, like his arm and head and the sort of tunneling ability, it allows his body to come apart pretty easily, so you can just pull off the head and put on his hood without too much issue. You just need to line up the pegs just right. But I do think there's a missed opportunity here for a wired cape, because this just loose cape gets in the way, and it's really, really hard to pose it with the Master Sword or shield on his back, even though the promo images sort of show it a bit more flush, or like blowing in the wind. It's just not something it can do easily. And his shield and sword work like they usually do, so you take it apart either at the base or the hilt and just slide in the handle through his hand. The shield, similar thing, the handles just pop off and split, and then you just slot it into his hands and then sort of reassemble the shield on his arm. And all of the paintwork on his accessories are really, really good as well. The Hylian shield looks fantastic. The print work on his cape looks nice as well, even if I don't really like the accessory all that much. And once you put the scabbard on his back, you can see what I mean about the cape. It just sort of just flops there. It doesn't go under the Master Sword. The Master Sword doesn't have like an alternate peg to go a bit lower while still maintaining the aesthetic, so it kind of sucks and gets in the way of everything. A wide cape would have probably been a better choice to at least do action poses. But without the cape, he looks a bit better, and you can store the bow with the Master Sword sheath, which is pretty cool. There's a clear plastic attachment that pops onto his back. Yeah, it's a tiny bit noticeable, but I think it achieves the illusion pretty well. And some of his other accessories attach pretty well as well. So the shield attachments work for both the Hylian shield and the Traveler's shield. So you just take out the straps and plug in another clear plastic piece that just connects to his scabbard. And the bow and arrow holding hands are really nice and secure and fairly easy to deal with. Again, I think his posability could have been just a tiny bit better in the arms, or like everything felt a little bit too tight, so I didn't want to force it too much to get a good bow drawing pose. His little like rock hammer is a little bit too heavy for the figure, and it's a little bit tricky to deal with. The base is pretty loose out of the box, at least for my one, so I do recommend tightening it up because it does just have screws in it. And the Zonai rocket is actually a really, really cool accessory, because you take out the middle part of the Traveler's shield and attach this, and then attach the effect part, and it achieves the illusion just fine. I do really like that they were able to put a merging mechanic in this figure, but it is very hard to pose it looking really, really cool. Like, I can't imagine people would have it displayed like this in their collection unless they're making an absolute like monstrosity of a Link, but it is cool nonetheless. The glider is also a cool accessory. Again, I don't really know if people would really display him like this. It's kind of tricky to get the weight distributed just right, especially since the glider is quite heavy. and does also get in the way of the scabbard as well, so the promo images are once again pretty hard to achieve. But the tunneling power, again I forgot the name, that works pretty well. You just separate the body like you saw in the posability section and you just plug Link into it, and it's kind of funny. You can put him in awkward situations, and I do quite like that one. I can see people posing him like this, but not in like a permanent display, just for like funny moments. And the alternate arm plugs in just fine, but getting him to cross his arms or have one arm resting on the other is actually really hard to do, and I did not enjoy it one bit. I don't think I even achieved it correctly, and it kind of sucked. The classic crouching pose that they show on the promo box, as well as the recently released prize figure, that sort of cover art shot that they used a lot of Link kneeling and looking over things, that's just cannot be achieved. At least I couldn't easily. I was just forcing it all the way, and he just barely held his own, and that's when I noticed the paint chipping, and I was just not enjoying this figure. Like, it looks cool, and it's got really good accessories, but I don't enjoy handling the figure itself, and I think that's a problem. Like, the Metroid Dread Samus loved posing that figure, could do everything I wanted it to do, but this Link, he's fully accessorized, but he just doesn't feel great to handle, and I'm probably in the minority here, because I've heard really good things about this figure, but something about it is rubbing me the wrong way, and I'm just not enjoying my time with it. I just wanted to put it down at every moment. It just was not a joy. And I've cancelled all my pre-orders for the upcoming Ganon and Zelda. I knew that the Zelda wouldn't turn out well because the previous Zelda one from Twilight Princess didn't as well, and this one seems to have similar articulation in the lower half. And the Ganon, I'm not really sure how that one will turn out either, so I've skipped it. So I'm pretty much done with Figma again. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I will see you all next time.